Long before dinosaurs walked the earth, Mount Roraima was already rising above what is now South America. Today, this ancient tabletop mountain stands on the border of Venezuela, Brazil, and Guyana, surrounded by dense rainforest, towering waterfalls, and massive vertical cliffs that seem almost impossible to climb. Its flat summit stretches for more than 30 square kilometers, while sheer rock walls rise hundreds of meters straight into the clouds. From a distance, the mountain looks almost unreal, like a giant stone island floating high above the jungle. For centuries, the people living below could only look up and wonder what was hidden on top. Thick clouds covered the summit almost every day, while powerful waterfalls poured down its cliffs into the rainforest below. No roads led there. No obvious path could be seen. The mountain seemed to protect its secrets. The indigenous Piman people believed Mount Roraima was the remains of the legendary Tree of Life, a giant tree that once held every fruit and every plant in the world. According to their stories, when the tree fell, it created the enormous mountain that still dominates the landscape today. As explorers arrived from Europe, they became just as fascinated. Again and again, expeditions stood at the base of the towering cliffs, but every route seemed impossible. Then, in 1884, one expedition noticed something no one had seen before: a narrow, natural pathway leading toward the summit. The hidden route wasn't easy to find. The expedition spent days hiking through dense rainforest, crossing fast-flowing rivers and climbing steep, muddy trails. As they got closer, the towering sandstone cliffs of Mount Roraima became even more intimidating, disappearing into thick clouds above. Finally, they reached a natural ramp leading to the summit. It was the only known path to the top, and even today it remains the main route used by climbers from around the world. As the explorers stepped onto the plateau, they realized they weren't looking at an ordinary mountain. The summit was covered with enormous black rock formations, carved by wind and rain over hundreds of millions of years. Crystal clear pools reflected the sky, while small waterfalls flowed across the stone before disappearing over the cliffs into the rainforest far below. Thick clouds rolled across the landscape almost constantly. One moment the sun illuminated the entire plateau. The next, everything vanished into white mist. The mountain seemed alive, revealing and hiding its secrets within minutes. Everywhere they looked, the landscape felt ancient, silent, and completely untouched. It was unlike anywhere they had ever seen. But the strange rocks and endless clouds weren't the greatest discovery waiting on Mount Roraima. Because, hidden among the rocks, scientists would soon discover plants and animals that exist nowhere else on Earth. For millions of years, Mount Roraima remained almost completely isolated from the world below. That isolation allowed life to evolve in remarkable ways, turning the summit into one of the most unique ecosystems on Earth. Scientists discovered tiny black frogs that spend almost their entire lives among the wet rocks of the plateau. Unlike most frogs, they don't even need rivers or lakes to survive. Instead, they hide between cracks in the ancient sandstone, surrounded by constant mist and rain. The summit is also home to rare orchids, colorful mosses, and strange carnivorous plants. Because the rocky soil contains very few nutrients, these plants developed an incredible way to survive. Instead of relying only on the ground, they trap insects and absorb nutrients directly from their prey. Crystal clear streams flow across the plateau, collecting in natural pools before disappearing over the edge of the cliffs as breathtaking waterfalls. Thick clouds drift across the landscape almost every hour, making the summit feel mysterious and untouched. Every step across Mount Roraima reveals something different. Ancient rock formations, unusual plants, and species found nowhere else on Earth remind scientists that this mountain is still full of discoveries. But despite everything researchers have learned, one question still remains. How did this incredible mountain survive for nearly 2 billion years, while so much of the world around it completely changed? The answer begins almost 2 billion years ago. Long before dinosaurs, mammals, or even the first forests appeared. This entire region was covered by enormous layers of sandstone. Over countless millions of years, wind, rain, rivers, and powerful geological forces slowly shaped the landscape. Most of those ancient rocks eventually disappeared, but Mount Roraima survived. Today, it stands as one of the oldest exposed geological formations on Earth, rising high above the surrounding rainforest like a natural fortress. Its towering cliffs protected the summit from the outside world, allowing plants and animals to evolve in complete isolation. Even the rocks themselves tell a story. Across the plateau, strange stone towers, deep cracks, natural arches, and smooth black formations have been carved by water and wind over unimaginable periods of time. Walking across the summit feels less like hiking through a mountain, and more like exploring another planet. For the indigenous Piman people, these incredible landscapes were never just rocks. They believed the mountain was sacred, the remains of the legendary tree of life that once connected the earth and the heavens. While science explains the mountain through geology, the ancient legends continue to give Mount Roraima an even deeper sense of mystery. And perhaps that's exactly why people from all over the world are still drawn to this remarkable place. Because the deeper scientists look, the more they realize Mount Roraima may still be hiding secrets that nobody has discovered yet. The isolation of Mount Roraima has turned it into one of the world's most important natural laboratories. Because the summit remained separated from the surrounding rainforest for millions of years, plants and animals were forced to evolve on their own, creating species found nowhere else on Earth. Scientists compare Mount Roraima to a giant outdoor laboratory, where evolution can be studied almost like a living experiment. Every expedition brings researchers back to the plateau, searching between ancient sandstone formations, crystal-clear streams, and dense patches of unique vegetation. Even today, new species continue to be discovered. Tiny insects, unusual plants, rare amphibians, and microscopic organisms are still being documented, proving that this ancient mountain has not revealed all of its secrets. The extreme environment also helps scientists understand how life survives in places with poor soil, constant rainfall, and dramatic temperature changes. Some researchers even study Mount Roraima to better understand how life might survive in harsh environments on other worlds. After more than a century of scientific exploration, one thing has become clear. Mount Roraima is not just an incredible place to visit. It is one of the most valuable natural laboratories on Earth. And its extraordinary landscape has inspired far more than just scientists. For more than a century, it has captured the imagination of writers, filmmakers, and explorers around the world. In 1912, author Sir Arthur Conan Doyle published The Lost World, a novel about an isolated plateau where prehistoric life had survived, completely cut off from the rest of civilization. While the story was fictional, Mount Roraima became the inspiration behind its incredible setting. More than 100 years later, many people noticed another striking similarity. The towering cliffs, endless waterfalls, and mist-covered plateau look remarkably similar to the floating mountains seen in James Cameron's Avatar. Although the filmmakers drew inspiration from several locations, it's easy to understand why Mount Roraima is often linked to one of the most beautiful worlds ever created in cinema. Standing on the summit, surrounded by clouds, strange rock formations, and plants found nowhere else on Earth, it almost feels impossible to believe this place is real. Perhaps that's why so many visitors describe Mount Roraima as stepping into another world. A place where time seems to stand still, where nature has followed its own path for millions of years, and where every expedition leaves with one unforgettable feeling. There is still so much about this incredible mountain that we don't fully understand. Perhaps that's what makes Mount Roraima so extraordinary. In a world where satellites have mapped almost every corner of our planet, this ancient mountain still feels wild, mysterious, and untouched. Thick clouds continue to hide its towering cliffs, while rain, wind, and time slowly reshape the plateau, just as they have for millions of years. Every year, Scientists return to study its unique ecosystem, searching for new species and learning more about how life adapted to survive in complete isolation. Every expedition adds another small piece to the puzzle, yet countless questions remain unanswered. How many undiscovered plants are still growing between the ancient rocks? Could tiny animals still exist on the summit that science has never documented? And what other secrets have remained hidden above the clouds for millions of years? Mount Roraima reminds us that our planet is still full of places capable of surprising us. Even after centuries of exploration, nature continues to prove that there is always something new waiting to be discovered. Maybe that's the greatest mystery of all. Not that this mountain exists, but that after nearly 2 billion years, it still has the power to amaze everyone who stands before it. And that's what makes the final chapter of this story even more remarkable. Mount Roraima is far more than just another mountain. It is one of the oldest places on Earth, a natural fortress that has stood almost unchanged while continents moved, oceans formed, and countless species appeared and disappeared. Its towering cliffs protected an entire world above the clouds, allowing plants and animals to evolve in complete isolation for millions of years. Even today, scientists continue exploring its summit, discovering new species, and learning more about one of the planet's most extraordinary ecosystems. For the Pemon people, Mount Roraima will always be a sacred place filled with ancient legends. For scientists, it is one of Earth's greatest natural laboratories. And for the rest of us, it is proof that our world is still capable of inspiring true wonder. There are still places where nature feels untouched, places that challenge everything we think we know, places that remind us our planet still holds incredible secrets waiting to be discovered. Maybe that's why Mount Roraima has fascinated explorers, writers, scientists, and adventurers for centuries. Not because it is impossible to explain, but because no photograph or video can truly capture what it feels like to stand above the clouds on one of the oldest mountains on Earth. If you had the chance to spend one night on top of Mount Roraima, would you do it?